Field Museum made a very cool discovery. She recently returned to Chicago after finding a massive meteorite in the Antarctic.
It weighs nearly 17 pounds and could hold secrets about the beginning of our solar system.
Imagine seals diving deep under Antarctica's ice, using the Earth's magnetic pull to find air. These seals, cute as puppies but tough as nails, thrive in the freezing cold, defying what we thought we knew about survival. Their cleverness and resilience show us that even the most extreme places are bustling with life, just like a rainforest or coral reef. What shocking secrets could the ice be keeping from us? Join us as we dive deeper and reveal what's really happening in this icy wilderness. The hidden depths of Antarctica's icy world. This discovery changes the way we think about animal intelligence and adaptability. It shows us that life can thrive even in the most extreme environments. The intelligence and adaptability of these seals challenge our old ideas about the natural world. Even though Antarctica seems like a cold and empty place, it is full of life and is as vibrant as any tropical jungle or coral reef. During a research trip in the Weddell Sea, scientists made an amazing discovery: a huge breeding ground for ice fish, covering an area as large as Malta, about 92 square miles. This area held around 60 million nests. These nests, carefully made by the ice fish, were circular patches on the seabed, each about 75 centimeters across, designed to protect their eggs from predators and strong currents that might wash them away. The dedication of these ice fish to protecting their young is truly amazing, especially given the harsh conditions they live in. In the freezing waters of Antarctica, these fish have unique adaptations. Their blood is clear, without the red hemoglobin that most other fish have. Instead, they have special antifreeze proteins that stop ice crystals from forming in their bodies, allowing them to survive in temperatures that would be deadly for most marine life. But the most surprising part of this discovery isn't just the ice fish's amazing adaptations. It's also the importance of the Weddell Sea as one of the Earth's last untouched marine ecosystems. Protecting its biodiversity is crucial, and understanding the life it supports helps scientists figure out how to preserve it. Antarctic sea spiders, scientifically called Pantopoda, are truly interesting creatures. Unlike most animals, their vital organs are located inside their long legs. They eat by using a long, snout-like mouth to suck nutrients from their prey. This strange body setup is perfect for the cold and sparse waters of Antarctica, allowing them to thrive in such tough conditions. Tardigrades, or water bears, are tiny but incredibly tough creatures. They can survive in the most extreme environments, even the vacuum of outer space. Tardigrades have a unique ability to dry themselves out and go into a deep sleep that can last for years. With just a bit of water, they can come back to life. But their ability to bounce back from such harsh conditions isn't the only amazing thing about them. Deep under the Antarctic ice, giant sea sponges live in complete darkness, far from sunlight and typical food sources. They survive by catching tiny food particles that drift by in the slow underwater currents. Their ability to live with so little shows just how adaptable and resilient they are. The colossal squid, a giant of the deep sea, lives in the cold, dark waters around Antarctica. Known for its enormous size, it is still one of the most mysterious creatures of the ocean. The fact that it exists in such a remote and unexplored part of the world reminds us of how much there is still to learn about the Antarctic seas. As the penguins thrive, another creature lurks, ready to take its turn in the Antarctic drama. The regal dance of Antarctica's emperor penguins. Emperor penguins are the largest and heaviest penguins in Antarctica, standing as the royalty of the region. They perform complex breeding rituals throughout the harsh Antarctic winter, showing their determination and strength. Their ability to reproduce and survive in such brutal conditions is not just impressive, but also vital to the Antarctic ecosystem. But as night falls, other powerful creatures make their presence known, showing just how tough life in Antarctica can be. Leopard seals, the top predators in these icy waters, are known for their speed and strength. They hunt fish, squid, and sometimes even other seals. Their sharp hunting skills and adaptability prove they are the rulers of the Antarctic food chain. In 2023, an important expedition by an international research team led to the discovery of 5 new meteorites in Antarctica, including one that weighed 17 pounds and was about the size of a cantaloupe. While made of common materials, its size makes it rare, as only about 100 meteorites of this size have been found on the continent. These meteorites are not just rare because of their size, but also because they offer valuable insights into the makeup and history of space objects far beyond our Earth. Moreover, the vast white ice fields of Antarctica make it an ideal place to find these meteorites. The dark rocks stand out sharply against the bright ice, making it easier to spot and collect them. But the story doesn't end here. Each discovery adds to our understanding of the universe and our place within it. Antarctica is more than just a land of ice and snow. Its cold, dry air is perfect for preserving meteorites, making it a treasure trove for scientists. These space rocks, trapped in the ice for thousands of years, tell us a lot about our solar system's history. As glaciers slowly push these meteorites to the surface, scientists collect them, always hoping to find even bigger and rarer ones hidden in this frozen landscape. But that's not all. In 2010, while drilling deep into the Antarctic ice, researchers made a surprising discovery. A camera sent below the ice found tiny sea anemones, just an inch long, living upside down and clinging to the ice. These creatures, called burrowing ghost anemones, stretch their 20 to 24 tentacles into the icy water below, showing an incredible way to adapt to their surroundings. Curious about how these anemones eat and survive in such harsh conditions, scientists continue to study them. In 2019, another exciting discovery was made in the Scotia Sea, north of Antarctica. Scientists found ancient DNA in seabed sediment from tiny sea plants called diatoms. This DNA was 1 million years old, breaking the previous record for the oldest DNA found, which came from Arctic permafrost and was 350,000 years younger. This discovery helps us understand more about Earth's ancient climate and ecosystems. The Antarctic waters also hold the massive colossal squid, known for having the biggest eyes in the animal world, each one as large as a dinner plate. These huge eyes give the squid an advantage in the deep, dark waters of the Southern Ocean. Researchers are fascinated by this giant squid and are trying to learn more about how it survives in such a tough environment. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This squid can grow up to an astonishing 46 feet long, and some think it might even get bigger. Unlike its relative, the giant squid, which only has tentacles covered in suckers, the colossal squid's tentacles are armed with sharp hooks, perfect for catching large fish like the Patagonian toothfish. It also has the largest beak of any squid, strong enough to tear off big chunks of its prey, making it a top predator in the deep sea. In the ocean's depths, a giant predator moves, while explorers uncover secrets frozen in time. Secrets of the colossal squid. The most intriguing part is where it lives. The colossal squid hangs out in the dark depths, up to 7,200 feet below the surface, where it's safe from most predators except for sperm whales, which bear the scars of battles with these squids. Because the squid is so elusive and rarely seen, scientists are on a mission to uncover more of its secrets. Moving on to human exploration of these extreme places, over a century ago, the polar regions were some of the last unexplored parts of the world, attracting brave adventurers to their icy frontiers. One of these explorers was Ernest Shackleton, who, along with his team, set sail from South Georgia Island toward Antarctica on the Endurance on December 5, 1914. This ship, built to withstand the polar conditions, carried Shackleton, a team of scientists, and even an unexpected stowaway, all eager to explore the uncharted frozen wilderness. As the ice in the Weddell Sea grew thicker, it trapped them a little more each day. The cold of winter revealed some surprising discoveries, showing how fragile life can be in the quiet, icy surroundings. The crew worked tirelessly with axes and saws, but by January 1915, their ship, the Endurance, was completely stuck. The Antarctic winter tightened its icy grip, slowly destroying the ship. For months, the crew endured the harsh cold, confined to their ship, holding on to the hope that the ice would melt. But it didn't. On October 27, 1915, Shackleton had to make the tough decision to abandon the Endurance. The relentless ice had crushed it, sending it to the bottom of the ocean. This moment highlights both the strength of the human spirit and the unforgiving nature of the world. But this wasn't the worst part. Across the vast, frozen landscape, explorers and scientists noticed something strange. Green icebergs, called Jadebergs, stood out against the usual white and blue ice. At first, people wondered why these icebergs were green. Some thought it might be due to organic matter or tiny organisms in the ice. But later, they found out that iron oxides, similar to rust, were causing the color. These oxides filter out blue light and reflect red and orange, which mix with the ice to create the green color. These unique icebergs aren't just interesting to look at, they play a crucial role in the Antarctic ecosystem. They release iron into the water, which is vital for phytoplankton. These tiny organisms are the foundation of the marine food chain, supporting a wide range of sea life. The study of these icebergs has shown how important they are to life in Antarctica. Even a century after Shackleton's famous Nimrod expedition, Antarctica still had surprises. In 2007, something remarkable was found under Shackleton's old base at Cape Royds. 5 crates were discovered, and they didn't contain ordinary supplies. They held alcohol. 3 crates had McKinley's rare Old Highland malt whiskey, and 2 contained brandy. This find was not only historically fascinating, but also highlighted the tough conditions early Antarctic explorers faced. But there was a catch. Despite popular belief, alcohol doesn't help you stay warm in cold climates. In fact, it can make you lose heat faster, which is dangerous in extreme cold. The whiskey crates tell a story of survival and small moments of comfort in the midst of hardship. They were carefully removed and taken to New Zealand, where experts thawed them in a controlled environment. To their surprise, they found 11 bottles of whiskey, still wrapped in their original paper and straw, perfectly preserved as if they had just been packed. Experts from White and Mackay and the Scotch Whisky Research Institute studied these bottles closely. They managed to recreate the historic whiskey blend, giving modern-day whiskey lovers a chance to taste a piece of history. The recreation, named McKinley's Rare Old Highland Malt, became so popular that they produced a second batch called The Journey. Among icy relics and lost expeditions, stories of survival and discovery unfold. The South Pole's forgotten fruitcake. The surprising part isn't just a tiny detail. Let's talk about the fruitcake found at the South Pole. Believe it or not, this is the same kind of fruitcake that many people might pass up during the holidays. In 2017, the Antarctic Heritage Trust came across an old fruitcake inside a rusty tin, wrapped in wax paper, at a hut in Camp Air. Amazingly, it still looked and smelled like it was fresh, although no one dared to take a bite. The freezing Antarctic conditions preserved the cake, almost like a giant freezer. It was likely meant to be a warm, calorie-packed comfort for Scott and his team during their tough journey. Sadly, while the cake stayed safe in the hut, Scott and his team faced a tragic end. But that's not all there is to this story. Have you heard of the Yeti crab? It's a strange creature living deep in the ocean. These crabs are covered in hair-like bristles and live in the extremely hot environment of hydrothermal vents along the East Scotia Ridge. Even though the surrounding water is freezing cold, these vents release water heated to over 400 degrees Celsius. The Yeti crabs thrive in this extreme setting by growing bacteria on their hairy bodies. The bacteria consume minerals from the vents and turn them into food for the crabs through a process called chemosynthesis. These crabs gather in tight-knit groups, forming lively communities in what would otherwise be a desolate area. In the icy wilderness, both human presence and these tough creatures stand out clearly. But there's something else that's just as intriguing. Did you know there's an ATM at the South Pole? It's probably the most isolated ATM in the world, standing alone in the freezing conditions. This is an unusual yet fascinating example of human presence in one of the most remote places on Earth. Although Antarctica has no permanent residents or governments, it attracts between 1,000 and 5,000 visitors each year, depending on the season. This brings us to a strange fact. There's an ATM at McMurdo Station, the largest research hub in Antarctica. Managed by Wells Fargo, it dispenses US dollars and becomes a crucial resource during the harsh winter months, serving the roughly 200 residents at the station. During this chilly season, the ATM is essential for the researchers and staff, providing cash for basic needs at the station's small store, postage, or a drink at the local bar. Keeping this isolated ATM running is no easy task. Every 2 years, special technicians undergo tough mental and physical tests to make sure they can handle the loneliness and harsh conditions while maintaining and updating the ATM. This is important because they might get trapped by sudden storms. The worst-case scenario? If the ATM breaks down between technician visits, the McMurdo staff is trained to do simple repairs to keep it working. They even have a backup ATM for spare parts. Even in one of the world's most remote spots, access to cash remains a crucial part of daily life. But let's not overlook some of the lesser-known residents of Antarctica, like the Antarctic scale worm. This creature can grow up to a foot long and has shiny scales that help it blend in with the rocky ocean floor. Its segmented, flexible body lets it move through tight underwater spaces. With strong jaws and sharp teeth, the scale worm is a tough predator in the icy waters. Despite the freezing temperatures, this worm thrives. Its strong muscles protect it from powerful underwater currents. The Antarctic scale worm shows that life can not only survive, but also flourish in the toughest environments. From the practical to the strange, the stories of Antarctica, from its crucial ATMs to its fascinating wildlife, show how life finds a way to adapt and endure in some of the harshest conditions imaginable. But what about the mystery of Santelmo? For over a century, no one knew where it was. Then, in 1960, parts of a shipwreck were found on Livingston Island in the South Shetland Islands. Among the wreckage were clues that this might be the remains of the Santelmo. The exact identity of the shipwreck is still debated. If it is the Santelmo, it would be the oldest shipwreck discovered in Antarctic waters and might hint at the earliest human activity on the Antarctic continent. If the crew had managed to reach shore before being overtaken by the brutal conditions, they could have been among the first humans to set foot on Antarctica, even before other known landings. However, the full story of this wreck remains elusive despite numerous searches. In the frozen world, tales of ancient life and changing climates come to light, revealing nature's challenges, exposing Antarctica's ancient mysteries. Researchers have made a surprising discovery in the frozen wilderness of East Antarctica's long peninsula. Several mummified Adelie penguins trapped in ice. This find suggests that an entire penguin colony died out. The tragic events happened during two extremely cold periods, one around 750 years ago and another 200 years ago. During these times, there was unusually heavy rain and snowfall, which wouldn't normally be a problem for adult penguins. However, the young chicks, still covered in fluffy down, couldn't keep warm because of the moisture. As a result, they couldn't survive the cold and died. Scientists used radiocarbon analysis to confirm that this area had been a nesting spot for thousands of years. About 800 years ago, many penguins abandoned it, possibly because the Little Ice Age had begun. But the real tragedy lies in how changing climate conditions took such a toll on these vulnerable birds. In the 1980s, a curious discovery was made on Livingston Island in the South Shetland Islands. A skull and a leg bone found on the shore. These remains were identified as belonging to a young indigenous woman from Chile, a surprising find in such a remote and harsh environment. Back in the 1800s, seal hunters from various parts of the world, including South America, came to the Antarctic Peninsula and nearby islands, drawn by the profitable seal fur trade. It's possible that these remains are linked to those early expeditions. However, how this young woman ended up on Livingston Island and met her end remains a mystery. This makes us think about the challenges and experiences faced by those early explorers. In 2014, researchers from UK universities, working with the British Antarctic Survey, made an incredible discovery beneath West Antarctica's Filchner-Ronne ice shelf. Using radar from aircraft and satellite images, they found massive tunnels under the ice, some as tall as 820 feet, almost as high as the Eiffel Tower. Before this, scientists believed that meltwater under the ice was spread out evenly. But this discovery showed that the water actually flows through large, river-like channels, changing what we know about ice melting and its effect on ocean levels. But this wasn't the only surprising find during the expedition. The team also discovered an ancient frozen beetle in the ice. This wasn't just any ice. It held the fossil of Ball's Antarctic tundra beetle, which lived during the mid-Miocene epoch, around 14 to 20 million years ago. Back then, Antarctica was full of life, very different from the icy landscape we see today. The fossil was found near the Beardmore Glacier, among ancient remains of southern beech trees, buttercups, and mosses. This gives us a glimpse into a time when Antarctica was greener and more lively. Imagining lush landscapes and ancient streams in Antarctica takes us back millions of years. In another extraordinary find, a box of old photographs was discovered, frozen in ice for over a century. These images, found by New Zealand's Antarctic Heritage Trust in an old hut once used by Captain Robert Falcon Scott during his explorations, tell a fascinating story of endurance and discovery. They reveal a time long past, showing the tough journeys and significant challenges faced by Ernest Shackleton's Ross Sea Party in 1912. This group aimed to be the first to reach the South Pole, but encountered serious difficulties along the way. A violent storm pushed the SS Aurora far from the shore, leaving its crew stranded with barely enough supplies. They spent nearly 2 years in one of the coldest and harshest places on Earth. While these photos capture a frozen moment of history, one wonders, should such sites be left untouched or explored further? If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, and subscribe.